Thanks for the introduction. It was fantastic. So yeah, today we're going to talk about design. In particular, I'm going to talk about how to design for everyone, how to empower users to build software by using no-code tools. But first, let me introduce myself. So my name is Iker. I am leading the product design team at Softr. I am coming from Barcelona, and the things that I like the most are, besides like designing, actually I like it more than designing. I like football and also cycling, and I arrived today from Barcelona here in Germany. As I was saying, I am leading the design department at Softr. How many of you are familiar with Softr as a tool? Okay, nice. Because the second half of the talk is going to be actually about Softr as a product, so it's better if you are familiar with the tool, so you can understand what I'm talking about. So as I was saying, today we're going to talk about how to design for everyone, the principles that we're following at Softr to empower users to build complex applications and business tools in a simple way. And first of all, we need to talk about those non-technical users that are using Softr and also some other no-code tools in order to create those applications. So during the last years, with all the new no-code tools that are appearing, many non-technical users are able to build complex applications. And the way that we design for those users is different, right? Thanks to these no-code applications, we are kind of like democratizing the creation of applications and products, and we need to think about those technical users. In the past, thinking about creating software was something really kind of scary for most of the users. But now, thanks to these no-code tools and to this approach for building for non-technical users, we can actually help them building those applications. And in order to design for those non-technical users, we need to keep a few things in mind. The first one is that we need to understand those users' needs, goals, and pain points. Usually, these users, as I was saying before, might be scary of creating products and using software because maybe they don't have those technical skills. So we really need to understand what are their needs, their goals, and what are the main pain points that they are suffering in order to build a product that everybody can use. When we build software for non-technical users, everybody is getting benefited out from it because we're going to build a more accessible and a more usable product that everybody will benefit from. So at Softr, this is what we say, right? We say simple yet powerful. So we're trying to build a simple product that is simple but also very powerful and that allows those users to create these business applications that are indeed complex. So we need to design for everyone. When I say everyone, I'm talking about non-technical users, and as I said before, the rest of users will get also benefited from this approach of designing for everyone. So we need to keep usability and accessibility in mind when building this product. When we reach that point where the product is very easy to understand, accessible, and very usable, everybody will get that benefit. And then we need also to learn from other products that are taking a similar approach. There are some of them that come to my mind. I don't know, for example, Canva, it's a good example, right? Canva has built a tool that allows non-designers to create complex designs. Or for instance, Apple during the last years has built an ecosystem of like many digital and technical products that every user. It wasn't me, I promise. That was the Bluetooth, I think. So yeah, like Apple creating these very simple devices that everybody can use, and also some other tools today like N26 or Revolut that are making using an online bank easier than before. So those are some examples that we can also apply to building no-code applications. These two questions are actually very important, why and how. So every time that we design something at Softr, we need to understand why are we doing that. So we need to understand why the users will need to build something and how are we getting there, just by using some user research. So at Softr, we're very close to our users. We also look at competitors, And we benchmark them in order to try to respond to these two questions, why and how. So in order to design these accessible and usable products like Softr for these non-technical users, we need to follow mostly 4 design principles. The first one is about simplicity and intuitiveness. So it is very important to build a clean and intuitive interface so that you don't need to explain to the users how to use. In order to do that, it is very important to use familiar design patterns, so just like reuse and follow common UX patterns here and there, and also simplify the design so the users will not struggle when they need to deal with your product and when they need to build some other products as well. The second principle is using guidance and support. So it is very important to incorporate some kind of like onboarding flows that explain to the users how to use your product and how to build products using your product. Use tutorials and contextual help as well, and write very clear and self-explanatory UX copywriting. So, for example, avoiding the usage of tooltips is something positive, because if you are having hidden information within your platform, it's going to be more difficult for them to understand what they have to do. So writing very clear UX copywriting, which is like self-explanatory, it's something very positive in order to build products for these non-technical users. And of course, using the help of the customer support team and communities like this one, it's very important so the users can get the answers that they need. The third one is regarding flexibility and customization. Flexibility and customization is like a hard topic. Actually, I'm going to explain to you what are we doing right now at Softr with the flexibility and the customization of the applications that you build, because you need to control in a way that the users don't struggle and don't break the things that they are trying to build, because most of the users, again, especially when they are non-technical users or when they are non-designers, you need to kind of guide them and you need to control the way that the users design and build those products. And the fourth one is to keep in mind scalability. It is very important that you keep in mind how the product can scale in the future without adding complexity to it. So the approach that we're taking at Softr specifically in order to follow those principles is to use a user-centric approach, being very close to our users, keep consistency across the entire product to have like a cohesive experience, and also get feedback continuously that we can apply to the product from those users that are using the product. So how does this impact the apps that you are creating? So of course, like if you apply all these principles and this approach to build the product, the learning curve is going to be smoother and it's going to be simpler. So users will struggle less in order to use your product. So this is very, very important when you are building a platform which is like a no-code tool in particular. The things that will help you building something with an easier learning curve is by removing visual complexity. This is basically what I said before, creating very intuitive interfaces, using and reusing obvious and existing UX patterns, and removing all the cognitive complexity that might be within the product. So now I'm going to talk about how this affects design at Softr and how this affects the applications that our users design and build. We know that many users in the past and today as well struggle when it comes to designing applications. Probably like if I talk to you, you will, like some of you will tell me that you are not happy with the way that the applications are designed with Softr. So we already talked to our users, we are aware of like some of those pain points, and following these principles that I was talking about before, we have been working on improving the way that the applications will be designed with Softr. In the past, we have like some problems with these 4 aspects in particular. The default design of the applications that our users were building wasn't good enough. Styling these applications was actually quite hard, and it was actually the opposite of building a product for non-technical users, because users had to deal with many options like paddings for buttons or like multiple parameters that many users wouldn't understand. Also, those properties were not linked between the blocks that we had at Softr. Well, if you're not familiar with Softr, it's a no-code tool that allows users to create applications. And to build those applications, users have to add predefined or pre-built blocks to those applications. And those blocks contain components that in the past were not like even correlated. And there was like a lack of themes panel that the users can use for designing the entire application. And of course, it goes against the principles that I was explaining before for building products for non-technical users. So in order to solve that, we have been working on something that we call Apricot. Apricot is just the name of a design system that we have been building. If you are around later, I can actually show you. We are building a system that will support all the new blocks. And this system, it's very special because it is flexible and it is following these principles that I was explaining before in order to support non-technical users and non-designers as well. So this system, it's coming with components that will be centralized, removing all this friction when it comes to designing the application. So now, because at Softr, I think that we're making a very good job when it comes to reducing the learning curve and helping users to create the first application in a very simple way, but we were not doing such a great job when it comes to designing that application, right? So now the new blocks will come with all this collection of like shared components and shared properties, and thanks to that, we will have a single themes panel that users will be able to use in order to build those applications. So with this project, we want to build like very strong foundations, a dynamic design system for the blocks, and we want to provide some flexibility to the users, but under certain control. So in the past, we saw that users were struggling with designing applications, and sometimes it was because we were providing too many design options. So we think that by having a flexibility under control and giving actually less options, but very good options to the users, will be positive for them to create better applications. So when building this new system, we're keeping in mind accessibility at first, and we are using the highest design standards, and of course we're keeping responsiveness in mind. In the end, we want that our users, so I will say that as a user, I expect my applications, internal tools and client portals, I want them to be both functional and visually stunning with a seamless design applied across every page. So the impact is going to be very big on these blocks that are used for building applications at Softr. So thanks to this system that we are building, and again, like keeping in mind those principles that I was talking about before, we will have now a single place where the users can design the entire application. And also we will provide certain styling options to specific blocks that are controlled and very easy to understand for our users. So instead of talking about like specific padding that comes on 24 sizes, we will provide just like a few sizes that are very easy to understand for our users. And this is again like related to the principles that I was sharing before for non-technical users. And thanks to this system that I was referring to, this is the way that the new blocks will look like at Softr following these principles. Some of them are already in production and you can actually try them. We have the new grid, the new item details, the new form already in production, and the rest of the blocks will be coming the following weeks and months. But this is basically what we're achieving thanks to this concept of having like a new system that fits the new blocks. So this is how the grid will look like, or maybe the user account, the account settings, the list details, which is already on Softr Live, the new navigation, and the rest of the blocks as well. So this is very important. And actually it is funny because I remember that last year on the No Code Week in Barcelona, we're discussing about this particular topic, and I was telling you the plan that we had to build this system and blocks. And it is nice because this year I'm telling you that some of these blocks are already in production and that you can use. And hopefully next year, all the blocks will be already migrated, and building and designing an application with Softr will be a completely different experience. So as a recap, I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think we're on time still. So that when building applications or products for non-technical users, it is very important to really understand users' needs and to use a user-centric approach. It is very important to design for everyone, not only for those non-technical users, but again, like the rest of the users will benefit from it, because in the end, if you are making a more accessible and a more usable design, it will benefit everybody using your product by following those principles to build these products for non-technical users and keeping it simple but powerful. So that's it, I guess. Thank you for listening to me, and now we have 10 minutes for questions.